covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us, where today we are going to talk about Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. Yes, we are. I know you feel like in some ways that was a long time ago, but we're going to talk about some outstanding efforts underway in the CSRA when it comes to helping people get their lives back to normal. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the Means Report, as always, with ways that you can stay in touch with us and help us get more great guests, like former Augusta Mayor Deke Copenhaver, AKA the man who's heading up the Hurricane Relief Recovery Committee, now team, right?
Yes.
You're changing that?
Yeah, we're changing it from committee to team. I tell people, committees are cul-de-sacs where good ideas go to die. Teams are built on specific skill sets and are focused on a goal, and that's what we're doing.
You and Derek Dugan, who's also on the team,
Yeah.
were here, it was many months ago, and so I knew it was time to get you back, but what really sparked this interview was your remarks to Augusta's Rotary Club this past Monday. I was amazed at how much has changed and improved and ramped up with your team since we met that day. And first of all, just want to ask you, Mayor, can you believe it's been this long since the hurricane? Just time keeps marching on.
And time keeps marching on, but really, we're seeing cases every week where time has basically stood still. People are still with trees on their houses, holes in their roofs, and so there's so much work to be done.
I can't believe that, and we're going to get into that about the needs that are still out there. But speaking of this past week, fast forward to Thursday, where the Mayor Garnett Johnson gave his State of the City address at the Augusta Exchange Club. You were there, and he basically led off his remarks by thanking you and your team for y'all's efforts. How did that recognition feel in a crowded room?
Oh, it's nice, and it is a team effort. And I tell people, if this is the biggest collaboration our community's ever seen, the commission and mayor approved an ordinance to expedite the permitting process unanimously for Mennonite Disaster Services and Christian Disaster Services. The Board of Education gave these two groups facilities, schools that were empty, rent-free.
Yeah,
The Home Builders Association helped us set up expense accounts. The Community Foundation is key with that, $1 million grant to purchase supplies. But this is what people in Augusta have wanted to see for a long time.
So you mentioned the commission. Help us understand how the Hurricane Helene recovery team was established. Did the commission say, hey, we need this, Mayor Copenhaver headed up?
No, it was actually Chief Burton, our fire chief, called the group together a year ago past December. And so I was not actually a part of the initial meeting. Derek Dugan became the chairman, but he approached me in May of last year and said, would you be interested in being the executive director for the group? And I was like, sure. And I will tell you, I prayed to be put into this situation, the recovery effort, in the right place. And I thought, if I go up under any existing organization, every organization has baggage, but this is brand new.
Brand new.
So no baggage. So for 6 months, I did it uncompensated. We did get a capacity building grant in October, so I'm now being compensated, but that's the only overhead that's gone into anything that we've done to this point.
Capacity building grant.
Yeah.
Who gave you that money?
That's the Red Cross.
Okay, Red Cross.
Yeah.
So what is, and we'll get into what this recovery looks like, because it's fascinating, and the people, as the mayor mentioned, who are helping. But let me start with what you do on a day-to-day basis. Are you getting in your car and checking on job sites, or are you in an office planning who gets what help?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, but one of the greatest things is, so every morning I get a list of the job sites that Mennonite Disaster Services are working.
Okay.
So, and I'll do site visits and everything, but this is just unbelievable. So last Friday, the Friday before the snow hit, it was so cold outside. So I get a report, email report. They were working 10 job sites. And I'm like, well, that's very impressive. Saturday morning, I get another email. They were working 10 job sites ahead of the snow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Even with that storm coming in.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked Mayor Johnson this recently. I drive down the street and I don't see any debris piles from the hurricane. Therefore, I think that our town is back to normal. You say, no, sir, it's not. Who's getting this help?
You know, it's people that are either uninsured or underinsured.
Okay.
So it's really the service area for all the coalition of faith-based organizations. They cover Richmond, Columbia, and McDuffie County. But you think about all the rural areas or people that live on cul-de-sacs, or even we have a digital divide. There are so many people out there, particularly elderly, they don't have access to computers. So they don't even know that help is available.
What kind of damage do these people have to their homes?
So in December, one of the case presentations we got was a 96-year-old lady, lived by herself. She still had a hole in her roof. And so literally, I mean...
And I don't want to interrupt you, she was living in the home?
She was living in the home.
Man.
And this is, to put it into perspective, so as I say, not everybody's aware that there's help out there, but one of the first questions that the disaster case managers asked the homeowner is, have you applied for or received FEMA funding? This little lady had never heard of FEMA. And you know, why would she?
If you do get FEMA money, is the recovery team that you oversee not going to help you? Does that disqualify you?
No, you're still eligible, but I will tell you what, the reason why this is functioning so well is we are not under the government. We've received no government funding, so we can be nimble and fast and really give aid in an effective, efficient, and expedited fashion. But government money comes with so much red tape and so many strings attached. If we can continue to do this through foundations and private funding, I'd much rather do it that way.
This is a whole nother line of questioning that I was going to save for our second segment, and I will, but just real quickly, and then we'll circle back to it. Is nimble and quick something that's typically associated with disaster recovery?
It is not, sadly, and that's so many people that are in this sector. I've had them tell me, well, it takes 3 to 5 years to really get after it.
Wow.
And I'm like, is that just accepted? Because I'm not okay with people in my community living with holes in their roofs or trees on their house, and that's just the case. But in Sarasota, Florida, the government got $200 million in community development block grant funds in 2022 after Hurricane Ian. 3 years later, it's untouched.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is terrible. And a friend of mine in Sarasota said, you can drive around Sarasota and there are still neighborhoods that literally look the way they did the day after the hurricane.
How do these people apply for help from you? Is it a phone call? You mentioned that there's the digital divide where they can't get on their computer, and then, so it's a two-part question. How do they apply? What's the criteria?
Okay, it's NGUMC / disaster assistance.
Okay, is that like North Georgia United Methodist?
Yeah,
okay.
That's who we're building out our website, so that's who you registered through now. But we are starting a series next Thursday at Sandhills Community Center. It's called Fellowship and Feedback. So we're doing a gaps analysis, who was underserved, who was unserved. But this is also a chance for us to go to the community centers, and anybody that needs aid that has not registered yet, we'll have our laptops there. You know who my partner in crime is on that?
Who?
Barclay Bishop.
No way. That's so good.
She's part of our executive team.
We knew that Barclay would not only land on her feet, but thrive in her life after television. And what you just said just confirms it.
She's a rock star. You know that.
She is, man. She's great. There's so much to talk about, especially these rock stars that are doing the manual labor for you all.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, I want to talk about them, where they come from. They're just beautiful people, and they're right here in our community. You need to know about it. We'll continue to talk about Hurricane Helene recovery. Amazing efforts going on right here in the CSRA on the Means Report. Welcome back to the Means Report. We are talking to former Augusta Mayor Deke Copenhaver, who has for the past many months been in charge of the efforts to help this area recover from Hurricane Helene. And there is so much work to be done. And as you mentioned in our first segment, a lot of the manual labor is being done by faith-based groups, Mennonites and others from all parts of the country. let's just kind of dive into that. How'd you find these workers?
So Scott Parrish, who's on our executive team, he works for the North Georgia United Methodist Group.
Yeah.
So they're the Methodist relief group here in the state. But fortunately, Scott lives in Appling, so he's local. So he had a line in on bringing all these groups in. But it is, I mean, it's amazing. You know, you've got Methodists, you've got Baptists. We just got Episcopalian, which I'm Episcopalian.
Sure.
But yeah, the Mennonites and the Amish and Christian Disaster Services, it's amazing.
How long do we get to have them here?
So Mennonite Disaster Services, who are out of Ohio, came in, started work November 1st. They will be here through the end of March. Christian Disaster Services came in December 15th. They will be here through April 4th. But one of the cool things about them is they bring their entire families, they homeschool their kids, and all the adults that are not actively working job sites are volunteering at local nonprofits or doing community service projects. The first month they were here, they went into elder care facilities, sang to the residents, and they also volunteered at the Golden Harvest Food Bank. It sounds like a Hallmark movie, but it's not.
Man, it's just touching. I have so many questions. Where do they stay? You mentioned the school board's assistants. Where do these folks sleep?
Spirit Creek Middle School is where Mennonite Disaster Services are. Terrace Manor Elementary School is where Christian Disaster Services are. But I went to a joint dinner with Christian Disaster Services and Mennonite Disaster Services. A local businessman put it on. There were literally like 200 people there, kids all the way up to older folks, and they broke out into Amazing Grace after dinner. And I'm like, it's just, and I'm inviting everybody to come into this. I'm like, this is going on in your community. Come be a part of it.
People have no idea. They have no idea. It's just beautiful. Who pays them? Who feeds them?
You know, they are self-sufficient. There's a business owner that feeds them every Thursday night. But this is people, you know, we live in a very jaded society, but people are like, well, who, exactly the question you asked. I'm like, this is what they do. They want to show the love of God to people that are going through the most difficult circumstances in their lives.
All right, not to be a negative Nelly, but what if they fall off the roof, God forbid, or something happens? Does the 96-year-old homeowner have to have insurance to help them?
No, they're self-sufficient. It's very interesting. So I was talking to somebody who had moved to Mennonite country around Toronto, Canada, and he said, I asked the folks, you know, what do you do if a barn gets destroyed? He said, how do you insure it? They said, insurance? We just rebuild it.
Oh, my land.
Yeah.
How do they know how to fix a roof, Mayor? How do they have these skills? Did they just have grown up like this?
They have grown up like this.
Yeah.
And it's really, they are so self-sufficient. But so Gid Yoder is the head of the Amish contingency for this. And so I texted him before the ice storm was supposed to hit, which it didn't. But I said, you guys okay? He said, we've got a generator and food at base camp. If you lose power, come stay with us.
They offered to help you.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. What about the supplies that you need? Lumber, shingles, you name it. Do they bring that or have local folks kicked in?
The Home Builders Association of Metro, Aiken, Augusta helped us set up expense accounts for these two groups at local suppliers. So we had about a month lead time before MDS got here, Mennonite Disaster Services, but the supply chain is airtight. So the Community Foundation is our fiscal agent. We handle no money. So basically the homeowners, the faith-based organization vets them first. Second, the disaster case manager vets them. They've been vetted twice before they come to us. Mm-hmm. And so then we make recommendations to the Community Foundation to go to purchase the supplies. But it's there, and I think this is very unusual for recovery. It is an airtight supply chain.
All right, so we mentioned this in the first segment about how the lessons that you've learned and the experience that you're gaining every day could be useful to other towns as they recover from disasters. Yeah. Has anybody reached out to you, or is it too early?
You know, I've been invited in the past week to speak at a conference in New Orleans and a FinTech conference in Miami, so the nation is taking notice of what we're doing here. We have not shared it with other communities yet, but I plan to, because cities the size of Augusta most probably have a community foundation and a home builders association. So we can show them how to set up the supply chain. And I tell people, I am not, a climate scientist, and I don't do politics in general or climate politics, but superstorms are the new normal. When you see Melissa hit Jamaica, 180 mile per hour sustained winds, if that had gotten into the Gulf, it would have dwarfed the impact of Helene. So there are going to be a lot more Asheville's and Augustas out there, unfortunately.
You think more of that nightmarish weather stuff is coming?
I think that, everybody I talk to that's in, it's a reality. It's not speculation, but it's just disasters have increased over the past 2 decades just exponentially.
Help me make sure I'm not misremembering here, but the 2014 ice storm that devastated Augusta, that was the final year of your term, right?
That was, and that experience definitely has helped me in doing this. But yeah, I thought I was going to skate to the end, and then it's like, storm of the century.
I know, and it just kind of dominated the headlines and dominated your agenda for the rest of your term as you wrapped up nearly 10 years in the mayor's office. So that experience has helped you with this so far, maybe given you a template to follow, or is this just a whole new deal?
No, it gave me experience in dealing with disasters. But that experience was a good thing for our community. And I will say that, so the first call that I made after the hurricane hit was to Steve Castle, who used to be our traffic engineer. Genius. Well, I was like, hey man, what I need to tell the mayor, and so he told me to get started. But then he came on and helped spearhead the cleanup after that. That was experience that he had. He had experience in dealing with FEMA. So Asheville had none of that experience.
All right, I know you have talked about the support system that surrounds these recovery efforts, the supply chain issues, the beautiful work that the Community Foundation does. Can others help you? Have others started to notice and said, hey, we want to support you too?
They have, and that's been, all of the word of this has really been spreading organically, because last year we really kept our nose to the grindstone and got all this up and running. But we've had churches and individuals reaching out saying, we want to donate, so that the Community Foundation has a page for the long-term recovery group. So you can go to the Community Foundation, I think it's Community Foundation website, we'll find that.
Right, if you Google it, and Jarrett is great about putting web addresses on the screen, but they're easily findable.
They are, and so, but we have a website in development. We just went up on social media. It is what this has been doing. The goodwill that this is providing at the grassroots level, it is unbelievable. And I think it undercuts politics, because these are either uninsured or underinsured folks. They're the ones that usually politicians say, nobody ever pays attention to you. Nobody cares about you. This sustained effort, when Mennonite Disaster Services first came in, we had homeowners calling our disaster case managers in tears, and they called it the Christmas miracle. So it's just like, this is, it's tearing down old walls and building bridges of trust throughout the community.
Long term is part of your name, and so I know that you're here for the long term to help us recover and to help every homeowner be whole again. But does that also mean that we expect your team to be in place when something bad happens again and you'll step up again?
Oh, absolutely. This will go on, and I tell people, this is not, our organization is not to supplant any other nonprofit or anything. We're here to be a value add and to help other agencies be more efficient. But, we're not going away. And define what a disaster is. Somebody was saying, so think about people that are homeless. The snowstorm last weekend, for them, that was a disaster.
Right, it was, and a homeless man died.
Yeah.
63 years old, it just breaks my heart. It was so cold Saturday night and into Sunday, and that's when he passed. Can I ask you some City of Augusta questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first one is about the Charter Review Committee, which is close to wrapping up its work, but we may not get to vote on any recommended changes in May like we thought. What do you think about that, putting this on a ballot maybe next year when there's not a mayor's race, there's not other big issues, and nobody wants to go to the polls?
It's unfortunate to me, because people say, well, why do we have to do this so quickly? But you consolidation was in the 1990s. And I'm like, we need to update the business plan. So I hope they can do it in an expedited fashion. God love that committee. Marcy Wilhelmy, my friend, but it's tough work.
They're thinking about going, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, with a recommendation to have a city manager type of government. No one has served longer since consolidation in the mayor's office than you. Do you think a city manager type of approach works?
I do. And in a city of 200,000 people, I want somebody that's trained to run the day-to-day operations of the city. No mayor has been trained in that, so I'm all for a strong manager form of government.
Does it take away the mayor's authority or power?
It doesn't at all. And I tell people, people talk about power. I'm like, there's more influence in the mayor's office in Augusta, Georgia than you could ever imagine. And I tell people, I'm like, Fortune 500 CEOs would return my call because I was the mayor of Augusta. And it's still, I'm blessed to be leading in an unelected form, but it's that me having spent 9 years in office, building trusting relationships across all lines of difference in our community, that is helping what we're working on for sure.
Well, it's probably my last question, and you were great at that, about building those relationships and always being the optimist. So my question is, anything that we can do to turn down the temperature in this country? It just seems like it's getting worse.
Brad, I will tell you, I tell people that 99.9% of the people that live in this country will have no impact on Washington, but the world begins outside your front door. And so looking to see what's happening here, I mean, when we look at Minneapolis and then I go, okay, in Augusta, Georgia, people are coming together across all lines of difference to help their neighbors. I mean, what is happening here? And I tell people, I will say this, I have a strong faith. Had we not invited the Holy Spirit in from day one, we would not be seeing the results that we are.
Agreed. You feel okay? Is life good health-wise?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'll be 3 years cancer-free, I guess in June or so. So I'm all good, working out all the time. People say I'm aging backwards, so I must be doing something right. But even that, God brought me through cancer for a reason, and I believe this is the most important work I've ever done in my life.
Amen. I'm so happy to hear that, and I so appreciate your time. Thanks for healing our community.
Well, man, thank you.
Absolutely. Former Augusta Mayor Deke Copenhaver heading up the long-term recovery efforts from Hurricane Helene. And as you heard him mention, your help is most welcome. When we come back, how you can help shape future editions of the Means Report and help us get more wonderful guests like Deke Copenhaver in a moment. Welcome back to the Means Report. Please stay in touch with us and help us shape future episodes. You can email meansreport@wjbf.com. Just put the Means Report on the subject line and we'll get it. And Jarrett and I will respond to it and act on it. And your ideas will turn into editions of the Means Report. Also, you can follow us on social media and you can watch all the previous episodes on our website, WJBF.com. Thanks again to former Mayor Copenhaver and the hard work he and his team are doing. For Jarrett Ledger, always Marlena, and the entire Means Report family, take care